Three words took one of the most advanced AI system on the planet offline, worldwide, for everyone. Not a hack, not a leak. Three words were, fix this code. That's it. That's a national security concern that forced a multi-billion-dollar AI company to shut down its flagship product for every customer on earth, including its own employees. Now back up 9 days. On June 9th, Anthropic released two new AI models. Mythos, the most capable system the company had ever built, kept deliberately out of public hands, shared only with a small list of vetted partners. And Fable, a tamer, public-facing version wrapped in safety filters so strict that cybersecurity professionals immediately complained it refused to answer basic security questions. This wasn't a rushed release. Anthropic says it spent more than 1,000 hours testing Fable's safeguards before launch, working directly with the US government to get the guardrails right. Cisco was one of the partners already testing early access to Mythos itself, and its head of security wasn't shy about what he saw. Which is exactly why what happens next doesn't add up. The company did the homework. The world's biggest cybersecurity names were already impressed, and it still wasn't enough. Across town, OpenAI was playing a completely different game, agreeing to let the administration screen users of its own newest model before any of this controversy even started. Two companies, two opposite bets on how to survive a government that's decided it gets a say in who uses the frontier AI. 2 days after launch, Amazon researchers find a technique for getting around Fable's guardrails. This doesn't stay inside a research team. Amazon CEO Andy Jassy personally carries it to Washington, telling the Treasury Secretary himself. The head of one of Anthropic's own largest investors and closest cloud partners, walking a vulnerability in Anthropic's own product directly into the room where the export ban gets decided. The same day, separately, intelligence officials reportedly brief a US senator that Mythos has breached nearly all of the NSA's classified systems during the Red Team exercise. That claim alone is enough to spook Washington. Anthropic was given roughly 90 minutes to comply. By the next afternoon, a letter from the Commerce Department lands in Anthropic's inbox. It orders the company to cut off every foreign national on the planet, including foreign nationals who work at Anthropic, for both the models, immediately. Anthropic has no way to verify a user's citizenship in real time. So there's only one option: switch both models off completely for everyone. This is the first time the US government has ever applied export controls directly to an AI model itself, not the chips that run it. The model, treated like a piece of hardware crossing a border. A bipartisan AI safety advocate watching from the outside put it more bluntly than anyone in the government has been willing to. So what was the actual technique behind all of this? Anthropic asked an outside expert to review the evidence. Katie Mosoris, a veteran security researcher who's held two separate government cybersecurity advisory roles, explained it in plain terms. Researchers gave the model code that already had known public security flaws. They asked it to review the code for issues. The safety filter caught that and refused. Then they simply asked it to fix the code instead. It complied. A request any developer makes 100 times a day became the basis for a national security order that took a flagship AI offline, worldwide, for 2 weeks. One thread in the reporting barely made a ripple. According to later reporting, part of why this escalated may not have been purely technical. An unnamed administration source reportedly suggested that Anthropic's choice to bring in Mosoris, viewed by some in the administrator through a political lens, may have inflamed the tensions rather than resolved them. A national security order over an AI model may have been shaped, at least in part, by who Anthropic chose to ask for a second opinion. Anthropic called the underlying flaws previously known and minor. One cybersecurity researcher watching the fallout had a blunter way of putting it. There's actual history behind the lie. In 1995, a cryptographer printed encryption code on a t-shirt and the words "classified as munition" on the back, just to make a point about how absurd software export law could get. 30 years later, an AI company made nearly the same joke about its own product, and a government took it literally. Most coverage skipped straight past this part. This was not the first time this exact administration had gone after this exact company this year. 4 months earlier, in February, Anthropic was locked in a different standoff, this time with the Pentagon, over two conditions it refused to drop from a military contract. When Anthropic wouldn't budge, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth did something that had never been done to an American company before. He labeled Anthropic a supply chain risk. A federal judge blocked the move weeks later, and her ruling did not hold back. Anthropic argued the standoff could cost it billions in revenue and hundreds of millions in existing contracts. This wasn't just a fight over principle, it was real money. And while Anthropic was being frozen out, the Pentagon went ahead and signed 8 other AI vendors for the exact same classified network work. Too dangerous to trust with the work, apparently, just not too dangerous for 8 competitors to do instead. The White House response wasn't exactly conciliatory either. Round 1 ended there. No resolution, just a pause before the next fight. So by the time the Mythos export ban happened in June, this was round 2 of the exact same fight. Same administration, same company, same pattern. Disagree with the government's terms and watch your access to your own customers get switched off. The response that followed didn't go according to script. Within 48 hours, dozens of the most respected names in cybersecurity signed an open letter demanding the government reverse the map. Alex Stamos, Bruce Schneier, researchers from Google, Nvidia, Adobe. Within 2 weeks, the signature count climbed past 120. Their argument was simple. This capability isn't unique to Mythos. Other models, OpenAI's, Anthropic's own older models, even a Chinese model called Kimi can do the exact same thing. Banning Mythos doesn't take this capability away from anyone determined to misuse it. It only takes away from the people defending against attacks. And this is a part that's almost too absurd to believe. One of the signatories on that letter, publicly demanding the government undo a ban he personally set in motion, is Amazon CEO Andy Jassy, the same man who told the Treasury Secretary about the jailbreak in the first place. This isn't a loose thread between 2 separate parts of the same company. It's one person walking into the room that decided to pull Mythos offline, then walking out and signing a letter asking for it back. Eventually, the government partially gave ground. Mythos came back, but only for a narrow list of vetted US organizations defending critical infrastructure, handpicked by the Commerce Secretary himself. And he made sure everyone knew the list wasn't permanent. One government official holding a switch over which companies get to use one of the most capable AI systems on the planet, adjustable at any time, for any reason, with no public process required. But the irony doesn't end there either. A Finnish cybersecurity researcher pointed out something that should worry anyone betting on American AI staying ahead. Within weeks of the ban, China's DeepSeek closed one of the largest funding rounds in its history, and demand for Chinese open source AI surged. Meanwhile, both the EU and the UK moved faster their own sovereign AI funding programs. The EU's tech sovereignty package, the UK's sovereign venture fund. Not because they suddenly started to trust Chinese models more, but because this episode proved that access to American AI can be switched off overnight by a letter nobody outside one government office ever gets to read. A move designed to protect America's AI edge may be quietly teaching the rest of the world to stop depending on it. So where does this actually stand? Right now, as you're watching this, Mythos has been partially turned back on, but only for that narrow, hand-picked list. Fable, the version that hundreds of millions of ordinary people actually use, is still offline. The institutions with leverage got their access restored first. Every developer who had built workflows around Fable lost a tool overnight, with zero warning and zero say in the decision. Everyone else is still waiting on a decision nobody outside one office in the Washington gets to see coming. One independent analysis of the whole episode put the stakes in the plainest terms anyone has managed yet. No courtroom, no evidence the public can check. Just a letter. The real story here was never really about whether 3 words could jailbreak an AI model. It's about who gets to decide, with no public process and no warning. Who's allowed to use the most capable technology on the planet, and who has to wait for their turn. So in the comment section below, let us know your take on this whole episode. And we'll see you soon in the next one. Till then, peace out.